recording soon, so I won't be able to be the whole time.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for
Hi,
joining
everyone.
us. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yes, we're gonna record this and put it up later. I'm trying to share to share my camera, but it just doesn't be working. My bandwidth in the at home at the moment, and my internet is mediocre. So I think that's why. Oh, there we go. Air T-shirt, of course. Um, put that down there. Right, guys. So I think a few people are joining in as well from. I'm actually going to do this on Telegram as well. Bear with me. Okay, so I think people can hear me on Telegram as well. Oh no, I'm muted. I'm muted. I'm mute now. I'm in. Yeah, I think some people won't be on Discord, so it's good to have both. I suppose I should record this as well. Should I bother? I shouldn't bother. There's no point. Hey, Ortigita's listening in as well. Okay, guys. So this is a pretty promising dimension for the project. I think you've all seen the level of interest in the past few years, and in especially in the last, let's say, 18 months around privacy and Web3. In many ways, the whole start of Web3 had to do with privacy and independence, decentralization. That was the initial motivation for Bitcoin to be created in 2008 or whenever it was. So this is something that actually a lot of people in the Cherry project are interested in their early careers. Excuse me. In terms of reasons why they got into this space. So, for example, myself, I was always interested in how to use technology to empower people to be more independent, to bolster their privacy, the ownership that they have of their own data, and that kind of stuff. And that has been the case as well for some of our founders who have worked on privacy oriented initiatives in the past, such as PivX, Dash, Core, and some of our founders were senior members in these initiatives at various points. So while I myself, I'm not an engineer and I won't be lending any expertise to any privacy dimension that has been built on Cherry or is to be built or built out, we have a lot of developers, very skilled engineers, researchers who can place Cherry at the cutting edge to whatever point is necessary in terms of privacy. As I mentioned in the AMA on Wednesday, this is something that we've been working on for a while. As I was discussing with you guys a couple of days ago, we have a core mission, which is Cherry as a important tool in the landscape of decentralized storage for Web3. This is quite important because Amazon, for example, have generated huge revenues by their storage, the storage aspect of their corporation. So Cherry is in some ways looking to position itself as an equally important player, but in the Web3 space. Because in a decentralized future, decentralized data storage will be extremely important. And we believe that Cherry, as a decentralized storage solution, along with the connection that Cherry provides, the Cherry chain provides between decentralized storage and smart contracts in a trustless manner, we believe that that's going to be very important and that it's going to lead to, if we place ourselves strongly in that niche, then we can really, um, really benefit from any of the growth and any of the maturity in the Web3 space. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about what we're going to do. Um, this will probably go on for about 20 minutes or half an hour, or no, probably a bit longer actually. And think that all the microphones uh, are actually, like, you can jump in whenever you want if you've got something to say. Might be better to put that in the chat if you have any questions, because if people are discussing things, then maybe it's not a good idea to interrupt. But again, if you we're doing this on a very informal basis, people can just and volunteer their questions and stuff as we go along. Um, so the purpose of this is to discuss with you what we're intended to do with the privacy dimension of Cherry's project. This isn't a pivot. It's not a re-strategy at all. This is something that we've been working on for quite a while, and it's just something that we see a strong need for at the moment. So that's why we're going to focus more on that as well, while we focus on the Cherry core mission. So please don't be concerned or anything. Not changing what we're doing at all. The core mission of Cherry remains the same, but this is something that we can add to that to hopefully bring more business growth to the project. So, um, I'll just, I think my screen is being shared there. So this is kind of the agenda. Bear with me there. Exploring Cherry's brand positioning with regards to privacy. Um, then yeah, I've just discussed Cherry's credentials as a privacy-centric project. We're going to talk about, and I've also discussed the competences of the team, just to go over that as well. We might consider worth mentioning is that we have a very capable developer team. We also have strong links with other players in the Web3 environment. We have partners who are very large venture capital firms. We have ongoing talks with other partners. We have industry connections and people in our network that we can leverage to to make progress in terms of what Cherry does as a privacy offering. So, with that in mind, I'll talk a little bit about how Cherry fits into the privacy space. What I'll do after that is, for point number 3 there, in a couple of minutes, I actually want to turn this over to you guys. Thankfully, I've had, I think, 5 or 6 messages from people. I often get these messages and they're very, very appreciated, where people say to me, this is what I think we should do. This is where the market is going, or this is where there's an unexplored uh, potential in the market. Not all the time, or probably most of the time, we can't really necessarily follow those instructions or those suggestions, because we have other things that we've learned or that we're aiming for. But I have some useful pointers and inputs already from people. So in a couple of minutes, I'll just kind of turn it over to you guys. We're going to talk about, if anyone has any points that they want to make, you can either send me a DM on Telegram, or you can drop it in the chat here on Discord, or if you want, you can just start speaking and tell me what you think about privacy. A lot of you guys are pretty are almost experts experts in the Web3 space. So it's very good to hear your views. Where do you think things can go? What should we focus on in terms of privacy? Is it more about payments? Is it more about making sure that smart contracts and storage are less less transparent to people that may not be working in your best interests? Maybe you're talking about regulation and the kind of regulation that's going to come down the line in terms of privacy. The EU and the US are continuously looking at how to, in some ways, put constraints on the Web3 space. So, any kind of thoughts that you have on this, no matter how vague, if you want to, even if it's not directly related to Cherry, if you know of other um, projects in Web3 we could kind of look at and try and emulate and learn from them, and please go ahead. We're looking for everything. Again, as I mentioned a couple of days ago, we already have a pretty firm idea of what's gonna of how this is gonna take shape, and it'll involve promoting Cherry's capabilities with developers who are focused on privacy, and it'll be about establishing a web presence that represents Cherry in privacy terms in a good light. So that's what we've decided already. We're working on that already, and we'll have a web page up pretty soon in this regard. But in the meantime, we wanted to be able to engage with the community so that you guys can, for one, see what we're kind of trying to do with this, and secondly, give any input that you can and any suggestions. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm just going to take 2 seconds to just check what's going on. If I got any more messages, funny comments there. Thank you guys. Um, okay, so yeah. Now, I'm sorry I'm so close to the screen. I'm not wearing my glasses at the moment, so I can't actually see anything. Um, so how Cherry fits into privacy and the market positions of privacy. So I'll talk a little bit about where Cherry actually came from. I've discussed this with some of you as well. I don't think we've talked about it too much publicly, but the original focus or the use case of Cherish specifically was one of the things that we looked at very early on. Actually, before I even joined the project, was that the need for creators to be able to um, create based on smart contracts a way for them to share their content and their art in a way that the user or the consumer or the follower, or whatever you want to call them, and the creator and the platform can all be assured that um, that economic relationship is managed in a trustless way. So if you take, I'm going to name some mainstream tech companies here. I'm not going to say very nice things about them, but it's probably not the most professional thing to do. But in the interests of full disclosure, we're going to talk about that. So, for example, with Instagram farms a lot of your data, and they make a lot of money off that. They also can ban your page at any point for whatever reason. Um, can take charge and uh, platforms like Instagram or even more content focused or transaction focused platforms like Patreon, they can charge high fees. And if you're locked in, if your following is on that platform and they decide to increase their fees by 20% or by 200%, you can't really do anything about it because they have all the power. One of the goals for Cherish and Cherry in its early iterations, in terms of what use case they were focusing on, was making this, you know, all of that kind of content on the web should be done in a trustless way, so that trustless doesn't mean, just for the record, it doesn't mean that there's no trust. It means that there's no need for trust, so that you can transact with or do business with or follow someone um, without actually needing to trust them because everything's cryptographically determined. Similar to if I send Bitcoin to someone here after whatever four confirmations or six confirmations, they know that I can't charge that Bitcoin back. Um, so that's what trustless means. It doesn't mean no trust. It means that there's no need for trust because everything is guaranteed. This is a similar case with what happens for content creators is that they often have to deal with a lot of chargebacks. So you might give someone access to videos of you painting or something like that, and they pay for them, and then they get the videos, and then they just charge back because for whatever spurious reason. And often they don't. The creator never gets that money back. This was the impetus and the goal for actually starting Cherish and Cherry in the early weeks and months, because there's a very strong need for it. Now, coming back to what we're actually supposed to be talking about here, which is privacy. The point about this is that if you want to interact with people trustlessly, you have to engage with them on a technical level in a very in a very broad way, and that brings privacy concerns to the fore. A very good illustration of this is Bitcoin. If you Part of the whole point of Bitcoin is that it is trustless in that if I send a Bitcoin to Marvin or John or Diego, after a certain amount of confirmations, they know that that's their Bitcoin and not mine anymore, and I can't take it back. Part of the point of that is that you need to have transparency in order for the whole network to agree on to reach a consensus on who owns that Bitcoin that I sent to him. However, what this means is that you you can't um, you can't have any privacy because all the transactions are fully transparent, and all the wallets or addresses and the amounts in them, as a result, are fully transparent. Going back to the example that I gave before about the need for ways to interact with creators in a trustless way, this poses a bit of an issue, in that you want transparency for the network to be able to reach agreement, but then you also want to protect people's details. You want to be able to protect um, people's private data. So this is kind of a long-winded way of me describing how already Cherry has been programmed in order to provide people with a way to protect certain aspects of what they don't want the entire world to see. That means that, for example, this is where I kind of get out of my depth a little bit. It's been explained to me before, but I know that some of the things that we're doing with ZK rollups, for example, um, do have the fact that we've needed to make them means that Cherry and the things that can be built in the Cherry ecosystem in on the Cherry landscape, whatever way you want to put it, are ready made for strong privacy features to be added or to be enabled or to be switched on or if they're there already, just simply be marketed. So this kind of brings back to the point of why we're having this chat, that we want to find out from you guys what aspects of privacy or of Web3 with regards to privacy are most relevant. Where do you think we should look at? Think like a wallet with more privacy, way to program smart contracts with more privacy, whatever it is. If you come up with something, and if you can't think of anything now, that's fine. You can just come back to me and send me a DM on Telegram or something. Make sure it's the right account. Don't DM one of the scammers that are pretending to be me. And then you can, yeah, just elaborate on your ideas about this. We had some similar things we did I think last summer. We spent a couple of weeks talking to the community about what kind of dApps they want to see on Cherry, and that was really productive. And some of those things we actually followed, and we have looked for people to promote uh, to work in the Cherry chain, or we spun up a couple of projects in that regard. So we do value your input. There's a lot of smart people in the audience here. that's something that we can really benefit from. Um, so I see we've got a good crowd of people here. I was wondering if anyone wanted to at this point tell us their experience with privacy and Web3. I have a couple of people who've already messaged me here, so I can read them out in a moment if there's nobody else that wants to volunteer their thoughts at the moment. Yeah, if you want to say anything, just jump in. Okay, so I had a message here from someone about a couple of hours ago. Is the audio working on Telegram? I don't think it is. Sorry about that. Okay, so someone asked me, is there a way for Cherry? Because as you guys know, we're making a or we're in the process of establishing wallets, native wallets on the Cherry chain. And someone asked me about um, what kind of, if it's possible to, because like if you have your wallet, like let's say Trust Wallet, MetaMask, whatever, anybody um, can see what's going on with your, or this comes down to addresses as well. But there are some ways that, for example, one of the problems with MetaMask is that if you click on the wrong link, all your funds can be drained quite quickly. So people were asking us from a security perspective what kind of things we could build into the wallet that would basically make it more secure. I think a lot of people have had a lot of problems with. I mean, originally wallets were very, very basic and they were very prone to being hacked. They're a bit better now. But for example, MetaMask, and I don't know the details about this, but I know that MetaMask had have seen a lot of controversy. I think starting about 2 or 3 months ago, because and maybe someone knows a bit more about this. I think it was a case where they were gathering data on all their users when there was no real need for them to do that. So that would be an example of some of the things to take into consideration if we were making a wallet for Cherry. Um, so what we want to do is within the next week or so, couple of weeks, we want to establish a it'll be a page on the Cherry domain, and it might just be like something like cherry.net or privacy.cherry.network. Okay, and then we'll have just on the screen we'll have you know private storage but smarter or something. We'll do some twist on our existing tagline, and then we'll go from there to discuss down the page all the different aspects of Cherry that make it a good place for developers who are focused on privacy to work on that. Um, so that was one thing that someone mentioned was that the wallet aspect of things, as well. There's smart contracts. One of the um, issues with smart contracts is that they're also transparent, which means that if you store data in if if a smart contract calls on data storage, that means that you can't actually make that in any way private. Um, was a project called I think Enigma, which I was watching quite closely for a couple of years ago. I'm just going to check them now actually because the last I checked they'd kind of gone dormant. Enigma was quite promising, but I think it folded because they couldn't. I think maybe they couldn't hack it. They couldn't make it work. Is it Enigma? Can't remember the name of them now. I checked up on them a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, the point is that that's with regard. I already mentioned wallets. With regards to smart contracts, what we want to be able to publicize to people is that, or if we can build it. Again, this is more of a question for the developers because I'm out of my depth there. If we develop some functionality or turn on some functionality that Cherry can, um, that smart contracts on Cherry basically are able to prove the data or draw on data without actually showing exactly what the data is, then that's quite important. Because, for example, if you were, if you had a DApp that was setting up wallets for new people, you were performing the calculations of how to generate public private key pairs. And if you were to do that, and also if you were to do that, but also that programmed as part of a smart contract offering, then that would mean that people could actually possibly in some cases see the private key public key pair. If it's to be totally decentralized, then you would have to do that, unless you use a more advanced means of keeping that data private. So obviously, there's no point in giving someone a wallet for whatever DApp that you've made. There's no point in giving them a wallet if they immediately if the private keys for the wallet are immediately broadcast the entire network. That's a bit that wouldn't be very smart. So instead of that, again, I don't have the technical knowledge to know exactly how this works. You can have it so that some aspects of the data that's drawn on it can be proven to be there, but it's not actually transparent, or it's basically encrypted. It's using encryption within the vista of smart contracts to ensure that certain aspects of data are not public. So this is quite important. Someone else sent me a message there a little while ago that if Cherry can strongly position itself as a way to remain decentralized, but also encrypt or have encrypted or hidden data on the blockchain, which is also decentralized in terms of its storage, and that would be very important as well. Um, those are a few of the use cases and aspects of Cherry privacy with Cherry. I think I've kind of explained it reasonably well in terms of why this is relevant to the project and what kind of ways we're going to go about presenting this to people, and also um, what kind of features would be involved in this kind of positioning of Cherry. Again, it's not the main positioning because we're still focused on our core values, but this is something that we can add to that, hopefully interest more devs to build in the Cherry network, more users as well, and more investors, of course, as always. So unless anyone else here has any kind of ideas or thoughts that they'd like to forward, I think what we'll do is, for the next couple of minutes, I might ask people's opinions on. We have one of our designers, one of our top designers here, Luis. I think we might look at um, what kind of design we could actually do, um, for this separate initiative within the Cherry umbrella. Luis, do you have any? Could you maybe share your screen, possibly? Would that be a good idea?
Yeah, sure.
And chat at the moment, so maybe it wouldn't be necessarily a good idea. I'll just see. Wait 1 second. Maybe Luis can share his screen with us and see. 'Cause what I want to do now is get you guys input on our design. So as you know, we Luis is very busy on a daily basis in terms of. Oh yeah, he shared a screen there. Luis is very busy on a daily basis in terms of making, for example, this banner here. Um, and yeah, maybe it'd be a good idea to have these sessions as a kind of focus group where we decide some of the branding, some of the colors, how things should look. You can see how we work, and then alongside this, you can
Dan ga ik er niks meer van
yeah,
maken.
alongside this, you can just give us feedback immediately.
Alles geprobeerd. Alles. Nee is nee. Nou, dan heb je toch
Nice Pro. Alles goed?
Kijk,
Mr. Nice Pro,
en daarna ja
Hey,
zeg.
wat de fuck gebeurt hier allemaal?
wij kunnen jij nu horen. Je mic is op.
Gonna fix it, sorry.
No problem. Geen probleem, man.
Ah, thanks, sorry. Ik dacht dat ik hem weg had gedrukt, man.
Ja, geen probleem.
Yo,
Ja,
thanks.
maakt niet uit, man.
Yo.
Good to hear a bit of Dutch on a Friday. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is so privacy is kind of like, I'm thinking like something like a bit darker. So Luis, maybe it'd be a good idea to if you throw up the cherry, kind of the longer logo, where it's like the C on the left, and then it says cherry, and then I think at the bottom it says like decentralized storage starter or hypermedia hyperdrive maybe. And we can have a look, and then you guys can tell me what you think.
Sorry, Owen.
Because we don't. Yeah.
We should change the logo or just.
Well, no. If you just get like maybe a big white banner or like a white canvas, and then we can kind of start from scratch, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Then the longer kind of banner, like it's like the one on my T-shirt, like that one. Maybe if you just throw that in the middle, and then we can kind of think of some ideas. The Cherry Labs logo, for example, is pretty cool. It's like I think you've seen it before, like a round beaker, some bubbles coming out of it, and it's done in the same thing as the cherry logo. I have a meeting at I think 10 to 3, so yeah, that one. Yeah, so maybe make that a bit bigger. Yeah. How should we do this? And maybe if anyone from the team as well wants to jump in. I don't know if John is still there. Yeah, but anyone who's still here from the team, you can jump in too. So yeah, I'm thinking what we could do is maybe think. I'm gonna try and think of right now. I'm gonna try and think of a tagline. Okay, Luis, could you change the hypermedia hyperdrive? Change that text to. Can you change the text, or is it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, change it. Now this is just a provisional thing, but change it to let me think now. Centralized storage. And then a comma, please. Okay, let me think. Hang on. Decentralized storage, private. But private. Lowercase b. And then uppercase P for the private, please. Yeah, and no full stop. So maybe drop that up under the thing where the other one was, maybe.
Take the looks are up now, but the hotel New York has a roller coaster coming down the roof.
You wouldn't catch me now.
Absolutely.
I think someone else is Samantha. I think you're. Yeah. What you think of that tagline? That's good.
I think we should drop the but.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, you're right. Then you can't say privately. Privately, does that sound good?
Inside storage, private.
Private. Yeah. We'll try that. That's a good idea. I have my doubts about it's yeah. Okay, so I suppose what we could think about is the next thing you'd probably think about is changing around the colors. Would maybe this is what we did with the cherry. Do you remember we were doing this with the Cherry Labs Consulting? We kind of changed the colors. I think that a darker color, because privacy is supposed to be like mysterious, kind of. Yeah, maybe if we made the sea of the cherry navy. What do you think of that? And yeah, and the yeah. So this the sea part of it, make that navy.
Okay. For that I will need
Oh,
to
because
change.
that's
Yeah, it's just as SVG.
okay. There's no way to just change the colors. Okay. Let me think. Hmm. Yeah, we put a lock in there or something as well.
Yeah, maybe next to private.
Try that. Try that actually. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Maybe if you put it beside the cherry.
On the left side.
Yeah, just beside that. Beside the Y. Beside the Y. Maybe that will work. Okay, the green looks good. Yeah. No, I think where you had it a second ago was better. Again, anyone in the audience, just jump in if you think that this looks bad, if it looks good, if you have any ideas where to put this stuff. What about like if we change the name? What do you think, John? Like Cherry Priv, something like that. Any other kind of different words from privacy that we could use? Cherry Priv. Priv looks weird, doesn't it? I think Priv is as well. Like that's like slang for something we don't want to be associated with. Cherry Private. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And move that over. Yeah. I think the problem is that we have what do you think, Lewis, is you have two kind of graphical elements there with the logo and then with the lock.
Yeah, I think it's better without the text of the logo.
They
So
have to
maybe
what?
we can the cherry text. So maybe we can try just the logo with the private.
No, I like the cherry text because this is what we want to do is establish what we'd use for the brand banner first. So yeah, I think that's good. Maybe what if we deleted the C? Or maybe we could put a lock around the C, could we? If you made it transparent or something.
You mean on the background of the scene?
Yeah, like if you yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. I mean the C logo. You'd
Oh,
have
okay.
the yeah,
Maybe
yeah, that
with
kind of thing.
yeah
Maybe a
with
bit bigger.
You could try to rotate the lock.
Oh, that too. That's too big. I mean, this isn't not the right kind of icon
no,
we want anyway. But what would the rotations do, John?
like that.
Mm, it doesn't look like a lock now. What do you think of that, John? If we just have this green thing floating around. Maybe if you make the lock a bit smaller and put it under the Y, maybe. Under the Y.
I don't know.
No?
No, I think it's better to or um, or just to put the logo inside a lock. So
What
maybe
if we get
under.
rid of the logo altogether for a second? No, that's not a good idea. Don't do that. Like there, yeah. Maybe try and align it a bit better. I think we should change it to cherry privacy as well. Okay, Marv had a bit of an idea there. What if you hang the lock off the Y? You hang the bottom of it, but oh, not like an earring. Oh wait, that doesn't actually look that bad.
Yeah,
What
maybe
you think? What you think?
I like it. Maybe we should make it like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Daniel,
kind of
what you
cool.
think? Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Maybe we could hang the lock off the logo. I don't think there's anywhere you can hang it off it, is there?
Mm,
Maybe
Off
in the
the Y
bottom,
works well.
off the Y. Stick to the Y, will we? Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool.
yeah, just have to fix maybe better the logo.
Yeah, the side. Yeah, actually, if you go in on the Y there a bit, could you move it down a tiny bit, just as if it was down the Y? Obviously, it'll overlap, but just move it like
Yeah,
southwest, just a little bit. Yeah, move it down a bit. Ooh. Yeah, like if we had it down a bit more, down the Y a bit more, down the fork of the Y. If we had it like there, I think. Can you put it behind the Y for a second? It's probably more illustrative.
maybe we can do a part over the Y and then the last part
Yeah.
behind the U.
That was a good idea, Marv. Okay, so we want to make it a little bit different than the. Yes, yes. Oh, that's lovely. That's it. That's the one. Oh, that's great. Good work, man. But I think that here, what do you think, John? Should we change the colors around a bit? Make it to make it more distinctive.
The whole color scheme in general.
Do you remember what we did with the Cherry Labs Consulting versus Cherry Labs? We inverted some of the colors so that it was different, but it was using the same color scheme, but it was different. So with this one, I think what we could do, for example, is if we use navy in the logo, it might look better.
The gradient looks good.
Oh, gradient, that's cool, man. Yeah, that's nice. I think that's a good one. That's a good one. What do you reckon, John? If we put navy for the like what we could do is we could do on the I don't know over on the actual logo. So I know you can't do that right now, or can you? Can you fill that those?
Yeah.
Oh, can you? Oh, there you go. Yeah. So maybe make those navy. And then can you make the inner C? You make that white. Oh, you won't be able to see it if it's white though. I don't know. I'm kind of running out of ideas here, but we want to make it a bit more different. I think that doesn't look too bad. John, could you and Luis have a look at that for a second? I just got to run down and get a glass of water. I'm very thirsty.
Yeah, sure. John, maybe we can move the privacy text. I don't know if it's better to have it on the right.
Yeah, I think to the right looks best. No, I keep it under.
Maybe centered.
I think where it was over to the right. And you fill the inside of the C logo maybe with like a metallic gray.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Maybe we could try the same gradient as the lock there.
For the filling.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah. It's pretty good. Do you think, guys? Okay, that yeah. Luis, what if we make the? I think. John, correct me if I'm wrong here. Should the cherry, so the text for cherry says cherry, should that be centered with? Should that be vertically centered with the C, or should it be maybe make it bigger and have a top justified? What do you think?
Maybe
It's usually centered, isn't it?
Yeah, it's usually centered, but maybe that'd be a good way to differentiate this a bit. I don't know. No, that's probably a bad idea. Ignore that.
I think we can center the C over the cherry and the privacy text. So
Okay, yeah. I know what you mean, but yeah, for sure. Yeah, Marv unfortunately can't join in by voice because he's recording this, but he's given his input to me in messages.
okay, maybe something like this.
It seems off center, to be honest, because the privacy is smaller than the cherry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe just recenter the cherry text. Wait, I think that's pretty good. What you reckon, guys?
I like it.
I think maybe we need to adjust something with the C logo. It looks a bit thick, kind of. I don't know. I think it's a good start though. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap this up here. Before I go, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things we talked about in the AMA. So, as we mentioned after the AMA, thank you, Lewis, by the way, and John and Marv. As we mentioned in the AMA, there is the EVM launch on testnet is forthcoming very soon. There's been an announcement made about this on all of our social channels in the past couple of hours, and on top of that, there was a couple of queries with regards to the bridge. As I mentioned, again, the bridge is the reverse bridge, or the reverse functionality of the bridge will be looked at after the EVM is fully rolled out. Someone else asked about a transaction that they couldn't see popping up properly. It's also being looked at now. And then people were asking as well about oh yeah, we thought that we had all the people who sent tokens to validators. We thought we'd got them all back their tokens, but I think that there's apparently still one or maybe two people that need that. So we're looking at that now. Hopefully, when things are a little bit less, the next few days, we can get that sorted as well. So I have a call in 2 minutes, so I'm going to jump off. Thank you all for joining in. I've gotten a few messages off people while we've been live streaming, given their input. Some people have given their ideas, visual ideas about how the logo should look. What we're going to do is next week we'll probably pick back up on this. Have had more. I'll incorporate more of your recommendations and suggestions with regards to the privacy business aspect of things in terms of the design. and we'll probably look at that over the next few days, and then we'll have something more concrete for you next week, and then maybe you guys can help us pick exactly what kind of brand iteration we go for. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to close the chat now in 2 minutes. As always, if you have any questions, you can ask me on Discord or on Telegram or whatever. We might try and do this on a Twitter space next week because it might be more fun. Otherwise, I'll be talking to some of you guys, I'm sure, in the chat over the next few hours, and then tomorrow, and then Sunday, because it's going to be a long weekend of work for me, unfortunately. But I'm sure I'll talk to you all over the next couple of days. If I don't, have a very nice weekend, and yeah, we'll be in touch. Cheers, guys.